Welcome back to the longest running sales training podcast history, the Advanced Selling Podcast. I'm Bill Caskey.
Bryan Neal here.
Just changing things up a little bit.
All right. I liked it. I went with it. I like, a little flexibility.
Keep it interesting. You got to keep yourself amused through life. You can't just do the same thing, even though it works stupendously. There's a word. You have to keep rolling with things.
I agree.
So we're glad to have you back. If you have not joined us on the LinkedIn group, make sure you do. Go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/LinkedIn. If you're a new listener to the program, go to advancedsellingpodcast.com. There's a list of some of our top episodes there. And of course, we always would love it if you checked out our Insider program, which is where we come together once a month and actually do training for our listeners. It's a 75-minute event every month. You can go to advancedsellingpodcast.com. Plenty of info there on that.
This is a great time to join. This is back to school season.
It is. Yeah.
And I think it's always a great time. The kids go back to school. Life gets a little more normal. I think it does. And I think it's a great time to invest in yourself to say, okay, I've got to end the year strong. Great time to join Insider that kind of August will pass because we already did the first session.
Yeah, right.
So September would be a great time to hop into the Insider program. I think that's my.
And we all are still on the school year. We're in school year mode most of the time. Even if like we don't have kids, we have kids. They're still around. I think we never see them. But you still have that September to June kind of mentality, and so this is a good time to get ready for 2025 and finish up strong.
Speaking of kids, I want to get your take on something that happened to me over the weekend. And I feel bad because it happened in a very sacred place, happened in church. I had 4 kids in 5 years. So picture that for a second. And we went to church most Sundays. And we're a Catholic church. So it's pretty quiet. And our kids were really well behaved. I'm not bragging, just, me and their mom was really behaved. If one of them started to cry or act up, you would pick the kid up and you would go outside so you didn't bother everyone in the service. Correct. Some churches have a cry room too, where it's soundproof. You take your kid back there. So I went to another Catholic church this weekend, and there was a family sitting 4 pews back. And I've never seen 3 children make so much noise in one setting. Kind of like we were at Chuck E. Cheese and Disney and the State Fair all at the same time. Crying, screaming, climbing, crying, screaming. And I said to my wife, are their parents? Did their parents come or did they just drive?
They just drove themselves.
And then this is a new church for me. There's a cry room that's literally 20 feet behind. My. So I'm in church. So I'm trying to but man, I'm trying not to be like irritated by that, but I am. Yeah. I am. So am I justified?
It ruins the experience.
Absolutely. I mean, it does.
I just feel like, I think we have to be mindful of the experience since church is an experience. That's the whole idea of it. And I have a feeling for people who have one child, but when 3 of them are misbehaving, you can't take them to church. I always wonder, why are they in church in the first place? Is there a young person's version of that?
Yes. They have they're tied, like 2 and 3 and 5. I mean, they don't know what's going on. Just an interesting thing that I've been struggling with because I was trying to be very nice and prayerful and everything. And
I think you could have taken that a few steps further, though. I think you stopped short of what you could have done. You could have gone back and stared at the parents. You could have turned around. Sigh.
I was because this is kind of a grumpy priest. I was afraid he was going to say something in front of 1,000 people. I mean, he was right there. I'm like, he's going to say something. I can tell where he's going with this. He didn't, but I was thinking, and if he would have, half the church would have applauded. Monsignor, cheers, way to go. We were thinking the same thing.
Or he should have said something like, I know not everybody in the room agrees with my point about Jesus, but he did. He ignored it, pretended like it was going to go away.
I'll just take a moment of silence here, except for that section on my far back right. Exactly. You guys should keep rolling as you are. Seriously. I was like, what are we doing? Like, I'll take the kids back in the cry room and hang out with them, just to appease everybody.
Cry right with them. Yeah.
Anyway, that was my grumpy old man story for the weekend.
That's okay.
All right, let's get to our topic.
All right. So the topic today, as I was telling you in our pre-show warm-up, I was watching a YouTube presentation the other day by a marketing guy. He's pretty good. He's a YouTube specialist. And he said, one thing you can do when you're getting ready to create content is you can decide where are your prospects, or in this case, our listeners, what is point A for them and what is point B. And point A is current reality, maybe some difficulty, maybe you're not where you want to be and there's some frustration around it. Point B is when all those problems are solved, what does life look like? So it's the pain and the vision, point A, point B. And I thought that would be good for two reasons for us to do here. May we try it today and see how it goes. And then also, it might be useful for our listeners, if you're shooting content or doing any kind of content, make sure you understand what the prospect's problems are and where they might want to be once you come along and solve those problems. Just be mindful that there's always a point A, there's always a point B. And
I love that.
We talked about that, and you said you wanted to start by sharing one, and then we can go through. And the idea here is that we will talk about point A, talk about point B, and then give you 1, 2, or 3 ways that you can start that journey to point B.
Yes, and I love this idea. I think where the what this put a light on that I think it did for you, Bill, that's why you brought it up, listening to this guy talk, is we don't tend to think about it being a journey or a path to somewhere else. We tend to think about it as solving an immediate problem. And it's sort of like if I've got like bad knees, and so I get a cortisone shot, and that solves a very short-term problem. It means just I have pain, but I still can't run. I still can't climb stairs like I used to. I still can't run a marathon. So if I've got a bad knee, I've got a step 1, but step 2, 3, 4 leads me to a place where I'm going to go from this bad knee to I'm actually going to run a marathon on it down the road. And and I think in sales, you listeners, you tend to be very short-sighted with your prospects, thinking I want to solve this immediate pain problem for them now and not think about what that does for their long-term journey. Yeah. Really, really like that.
That's really good. You could separate and say point A to point B. Point B is the first step toward relieving the symptom. Point Z, or point further out, is where you have this problem fixed forever and you never have to address it again. You can move on to other issues. But for this, let's just think about it, point A and point B, recognizing that there's steps along the way.
So, and I think we're going to start by talking to you, the listener, and where you are. So this is Bill and I talking about your journey versus you talking about your clients here. So here's one that I see all the time, and I'm seeing it now, especially as, things have been really good for a while economically, not perfect, but pretty good, is my point A is a complacency point A, where I am comfortable and stuck, and not stuck like I'm stuck in a bad place. I'm actually stuck in a good place. And that's a problem because I don't have a whole lot of pain to change because things are pretty good. And my point B that I see in the future, I would love to go from, I'll use income as an example. I'm making 200 grand. My life's pretty good. And, I've got my clients and things are good. And I've got some good balance with my life and my parents or my kids and my family. And I would love to make 500,000. That's my point B. But man, the comfort is just, addictive. I'm like, just so nice here. Why would I want to change anything? Yeah. So it's actually being stuck in a good place. So complacency is my point A. That's my first one for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. How does one know one is complacent? Is it, and you use the income example, so I'm assuming you could see if you graphed your income over the last few years, it would be sort of flat. But how do you propose someone listening might say, you know what, they got me there. They're talking to me.
It starts with the twinge. I feel that our clients, our listeners, they'll start to have these twinges. Like, I want to go to another place. And then the twinge is even by its definition, a twinge is like a small, like a twinge, versus this like very heavy, inertia for the present. I'm just so stuck here. I've got a twinge. So it would be like, boy, I would love to be an enterprise account rep. I'm an AE making 200 grand. Man, I watch my friends who are enterprise people. I know they're making way more cash than me. And then there's that twinge. I want to like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to be on the road that much. You know,
Yeah.
Pretty good. It's a lot of risk, that kind of stuff. I think if you have dialogue, it's a sign.
So you're saying that if I have that that idea, that fleeting thought that, boy, it'd be nice to be an enterprise rep.
Yes.
Don't ignore that. Don't,
yes.
Because that may be the ticket that gets you out of the complacency and at least get you on a path. And maybe you end up not there, but maybe you end up doubling your income in some other way. So pay attention to those twinges. Is it a tinge or a twinge? I guess it's.
I don't know. I would say twinge.
Twinge. Okay. Pay attention to those because they may hold some kind of power for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if we ignore them and say, well, you know, like you just said, yeah, I'd be great to make $500,000, but I'll be on the road. I'll be on the road one day a month. I don't want to do that. Well,
right. Exactly.
And we start to talk ourselves out of it.
That's what it is. And now there are some people, if I said, hey, you're an AE, like, have you ever thought about being an enterprise rep? Like, no way, dude. Not my jam. No, it's an instant no. There's no twinge there. Then that's like, you're probably in a good spot. So your point B might be different than that. It might be something else.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there going, yeah, oh man, or you talk to your spouse about it. Hey, honey, what would you think about me doing? That sort of thing. But then
says, oh, you could never do that. You're not that.
Right. Well, you'll be gone a lot. Like, yeah, one day a month.
The 1 day a month enterprise program. Sign me up, baby.
I'm mentally and emotionally gone 3 days a week. Anyway, you can't even tell.
Thinking about the enterprise deal.
It's kind of a guy version of this. Sorry, ladies. Anyway, we try. So that's my first one. My point A is complacency.
Okay, so we're going to look at how do we start the journey.
What's
complacency to
step one? Yes,
potential.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to go?
Yeah. Well, let me. I feel like I already kind of revealed my first was the idea of embrace that. Embrace the idea of the idea. Embrace when you think of something. It'd sure be nice to have my income be at 500 instead of 200. Don't run from that. Write it down. Maybe even flesh it out a little bit. Say, what am I willing to invest in myself in training or coaching or new tools or AI or learning? What am I willing to invest to get there? And start to just jot down some notes about that. I think that will help solidify and crystallize, is it something I really want to pursue before you start pursuing it?
It's really good.
That'd be my number one.
I love when you were saying you talk about first responders, they run to the danger. Most of us run away from the danger. I love this concept, what you're saying, like even taking it further and saying, don't run away from it, but instead even say, run to it, run to the scary goal or run to that next level of income.
Right.
Like, don't run by running to it. I mean, mentally and emotionally, not even like, okay, I'm going to go put my name in the hat for a major enterprise account rep tomorrow. I just mean conceptually.
Yeah. Don't put your name in the ring until you think through it, because it's got to be right for you.
That's right.
So that when you do put your name in the ring, hat in the ring, name in the hopper, whatever it is, what's the right metaphor, you are all in on it, or at least all in on the pursuit of it.
Yes.
You're not hanging around the edges. Well, I may do it. Well, why'd you put your name in? Well, I just thought, if you like me and maybe I could use the extra $300,000 a year. To be honest with you.
Funny, isn't it? It's just dabbling. I just thought I love even that. Like I threw my name in the hat. Like just think of that. Like what is that energy behind that versus It's like I just thought I'd see what would stick. Whatever.
Okay, so number one is some kind of identification. So did you second that, or was yours number two? Okay.
I'll second that. I'm going to give you a different one.
Okay.
I would list all of the reasons that are inhibiting you from that, all of the resistance things as clear as I can. So things like the easy one we talked about, I have to be on the road extra 3 days a week, be as specific as you can. And then write down, flip that around after you write down, I've got to be on and write down why that would be potentially good to be on the road. So you're trying to take this resistance point and say that actually could be good because I could be more efficient, or when I'm working on the road, I might be more present at home, or I could take my family and they could meet me intercept me for a little holiday away or whatever. and try to see those things in a different light versus, oh, that's going to suck to be on the road. Like really maybe it's not, you know what I mean? Maybe it's not. So, but a clear list of the inhibitions and then why the inhibitions could be good on the other side.
Yeah.
Try to see them
that's really good.
So
that's really good. I like that.
That's my next one.
Okay. And we said we'll just do 2 or 3. I've got a third here. If you have a fourth, that's fine.
I like.
One thing that I had here is talk to someone who can bring some clarity to the issue. So if you have an enterprise, we keep coming back to that, but if there's somebody in your company that you really respect and like and look at and say, oh no, I see the way she handles that. She's really good at it. She makes a lot of money. She's not overworked. She's really she's worked out the whole cadence of everything. Go talk to them. Have an intelligent conversation. Take them out to lunch or dinner and say, look, I'm giving some thought. You can be honest. Say, look, I don't know but something about the enterprise account manager kind of appeals to me. And I just wanted to get your perspective of it. Do you think I can do it? That's not a question you would ask, but tell me about it. Just tell me about your routines. Tell me about your travel. Tell me about, you were a salesperson like I was. What were some of the transitional areas that you struggled with or was easy for you? Just get in dialogue with somebody else because that'll help crystallize things.
That's fantastic. And I love the idea of not the stay away from, you said this, Bill, stay away from the, do you think I'm qualified part? You're not looking for validation here. You're looking for someone's deep experience along the way, good and bad, so you can understand it better. Can I add something to that? A little question that I love. That's a really good one. Is when you're having that meeting, strong recommendation to do what Bill's talking about here. And something to ask people, I love asking people this, is what about the transition surprised you that you didn't see coming? What's something you didn't see coming? So you're going into this new role and you're in it, all of a sudden you're like, dang, it could be anything. It could be good or bad. It could be, boy, actually, I was worried about travel. Travel's actually not that bad with Zoom these days. A lot of clients are very comfortable with that. They're very, I do travel some more, but not, I was surprised by that. Or I was really surprised at how accessible some of the C-level people were once I became an enterprise rep. I was really inhibited by like, am I going to be able to get to these C-level people? And they're awesome. Something like that. Ask people what they're surprised by, because that's the part that I think is the blind spot thing.
That's a great question.
Love that. What were you surprised by?
I've got another question that this one's a little hard maybe to answer because you as a listener to the podcast, if somebody hasn't listened to the podcast, they may not understand this question, but how did your thinking have to change as you moved from your old role to the enterprise role or whatever it is? How did your thinking have to change? And you might be surprised at what you hear. You might hear they've never even thought about that before. Then they probably haven't. But the question will prompt them to say, well, let me see it. I had to realize that I couldn't keep doing the $10 an hour activities anymore. I didn't have time for it. So I had to go out and find a virtual assistant, or I had to find some help or delegate. My thinking became that my time was worth a lot more than it used to be. It used to be worth $200 an hour. Then I had to convince myself it was worth $750.
Yeah.
You're going to hear the deeper stuff. And then you have to decide, can I get there mentally? Can I change my thinking there? And if you can, then this is a perfect position for you.
That's great. Really, really good. Man, this is good. I hope people driving around are thinking, dang, I've got to, I hope this opens up the path for this point B for people today's episode, because I think so many people have this where they just have these twinges, these pulls, and they're just like sucked back into it. Give you some very tactical ways to start to move into it.
I think this could even work, and we'll come back and maybe do this another time, but it could even work if you're not happy with your current role, current position, current company, the culture's not right, or you've outgrown it, or you're not getting any help, or whatever those things are. You say, well, what would point B be? Yeah. That's when I get up every morning at 6 o'clock and I'm working out, I'm ready to go and I'm excited for the day. And point A is, I'm lethargic. I roll out of bed at noon, have a couple donuts, take a nap at 2.
Couple donuts.
The lethargic life.
Feel bad for the donut. Donut gets a bad rap. They're poisonous though. Oh my God. Donut, man, it literally feels like you took some cyanide. But why is that? I don't know. But there's always only a Krispy Kreme. It's amazing to me.
I was since my heart incident here a couple of months ago, I've been eating really well. And I've felt really good because I've been eating really well and working out and doing all the walking and everything. And this past weekend, we went on a trip, took the grandkids, which I got a story for you next week.
Yeah.
And when you're on the road, it, you just don't eat. You just don't eat well.
Hard.
It's like the donut appeals to you. And like, wait, I had a heart thing. Well, but one donut. I did not have a donut, but I ate crap.
Yeah.
And I started to feel lethargic on Saturday, and I was trying to go up and down these steps. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? You had the choice of whether to eat the chips or the fruit. You picked the chips. Why did you do that? And then you start beating yourself up, but appropriately so, because it all is a path. Everything is a path. Just like we've talked about, everything is a spectrum. Everything's a path to a journey from where you are to where you want to be. And if where you want to be is not clear, the journey never makes sense.
That's right. And you're on your health journey from point A to point B.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Really great. Good stuff today.
So once again, if you haven't checked out the website, if you're new, advancedsellingpodcast.com. Love to have you in the Insider program. Plenty of information there on that. And we will see you next week. And we are so blessed that you're listeners. We really are. Bryan and I talk about that. We don't tell you thank you enough, but we've just been blessed with the relationships we've developed, and you guys are great.
Awesome. Love you. Okay.
Bye.